We're at near Loch Goilhead and we're at the Gypsy's Heart, or Tinker's Heart as it was known, and that was a special place of significance to gypsy travellers because it's where many a marriage took place in the community. And they would camp there and they'd stand inside each lobe of the heart, the man and the woman, and they would get married there. And there was two sort of forms of ceremony. The Tinker form, as it was known, Tinker's wedding. The man would bring coal or some sort of yag for the fire, and the woman would bring tea and sugar in a wee basket, so it would have plenty in the house, or in the tent rather at that time, the bender, and that signified, you know, hearth and heart and health and all this sort of thing. And then they would have a bender nearby with a big pail where they used to go in one after the other and they would pee in the pail, urinate in it, and whatever separated the urine would separate the man and the woman. That's symbolism. We'd take it out and there should be a stick fire nearby. We'd throw it in, and the more smoke it made, the more fruitful and longer the union. Not necessarily the happier, but fruitful and long.
Smoky.
Long wearing. Wearing thin maybe. And then there was always the broomsticks sitting crossed, and they would jump over the broomsticks after they'd said, I take this man to be my wife, this woman to be my wife, and this man to be my husband. Forevermore, and health and happiness, and they would jump over it, but they didn't have a long-winded ceremony like the ones where, you know, church ministers officiated. However, a lot of them did actually get the minister down to the camp because they wanted a blessing, because as I said before, Christianity, superstition and belief in the supernatural was sat comfortably side by side with gypsy travellers then. That's changing now because of the born-again Christians, and they're being kind of led to believe that that's all evil. But at that time, people did believe in water kelpies and brownie clods and warnings and all these things. So they would have their own secular ceremony, and then they would have the kind of religious input and get a blessing from the minister or the priest. Over this side of the country, Argyllshire, it was mostly priests. Most of the people who came from this side, the travellers, were Catholic. And quite often, if you go to, say, Kilmartin, for instance, you'll see relatives of mine have signed the book, ancestors, saying they got married, Isabella McPhee and Duncan Alexander Johnson. So those names came all the way through. Because my mother was Johnson, my father was McPhee, so that's gone from the 1700s, sort of pattern of intermarriage there all the way down. And basically the wedding party would follow, and they would get the pipes out, they would sing old songs, and plenty to drink. The women would bake for it, and it would be in one of the tents. There would be clootie dumpling and there would be scones and different things. And they would just dance and tell stories and drink. And the party went on as long as the drink flowed. When the drink ran out, that was the end of the wedding party. It could be 3 days, it could be 5, it could be a week. It depended how long they wanted it to go. It didn't stop just because, you know, it was a set time and they had to get out of a hall. So that's basically the idea of a Tinker wedding. There's some variations on it further north where they would nick their, well, not the wrists, but part of the body and mix the blood, but that's kind of died out, you know, by a certain period of time. And latterly they didn't bother with the pee and the pail, they just maybe drank from the same glass and threw it on the fire. So there's variations of it. I think nowadays if you were getting married, I mean, I wouldn't fancy going in front of everyone.
Yeah,
well, they're waiting to hear this dribble into a pail, and I'd rather just drink from the glass. Both from the same glass and throw it on the fire. Everyone listening. So I don't think I would do that. But
and they would all come to this spot and camp, and this is where...
Well, this is one of the spots, yeah, where they would come. I mean, another one closer to home, as you would know, but now's up by Foss, where they would camp up along the burn there, and they would get married on the road and go up to the kirk and sign the book. But traditionally they didn't marry in the kirk, because they weren't really encouraged into the kirk. They would marry and then go in and sign the book. you actually have an ocular proof that they were there.
That there was something there.
Yeah, this is the only
Because
one
otherwise
left.
there wouldn't be anything.
And it's got a bit into disrepair, hasn't it? And there's something going to happen on Friday.
Well, Jay Smith, the writer, is bringing the Minister for Education. He used to be the Culture Minister down here on Friday, Mike Russell. He's the MSP for this area, and they're hoping to. She's hoping to get him to put up a proper monument there. You know, maybe marble pillars or something round about, just to stop people going over it, or even animals walking over it.
Because it's
So-
agricultural land, isn't it?
Yeah, she's wanting to, preserve that little piece of land as a monument to the history of the Gypsy Travellers or Tinkers that were known
Definitely
then that came here,
worth it.
camped here and married here. So there's some proof for generations to come of, past lifestyle,
Yes,
which I think's a good idea.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it
It's
could
a
be quite.
beautiful spot.
And it's the type of place they would have camped. So
This
it's
is
away
a
from
really
the town,
good spot,
it's
and
bonny, it's near water.
Mhm.
They would have had privacy, seclusion, people wouldn't have bothered them there, and they would have enjoyed the peace and quiet, solitude. They might have spent so many days making
It's
baskets
like a
and things
feast,
here.
as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's nice.
and then carried on back the way or forward to Dunoon or back to Cullen and sold the baskets and things. So that's what they would have been doing. Yeah.